listen, there's all these other countries out there where they're educating their children and they're becoming way more competitive in the international marketplace. And Americans are falling behind. Americans are falling behind on every single metric. And that's part of the reason why a lot of people are angry, right? They're angry because they look around, they're like, I'm spending so much money on my taxes. None of it is actually going back to the roads. None of it's going back to the infrastructure. There's potholes everywhere. The hospitals are in a state of disrepair. What the hell is going on? And this is an anger that a lot of people have. And it's an anger that I share with you as well, if that's what you're mad about. I want those funds to go back not to an endlessly expanding military where, you know, some woke guys over in San Francisco or in San Diego that got an engineering degree are building weapons, but instead to go back to more productive things, to go back to ourselves, you know, go back to education, to go back to healthcare, to go back to infrastructure expenditure, and hopefully to go back to a federal jobs program that builds a lot of houses so that there are no more homeless people around, right?
I do agree with everything you said, but with defense, it scares me. What if a missile comes from Russia right at us? We've got to be good enough to shoot it in the air, down.
I mean, but we already have defense systems. I'm saying like we're increasing the funding, and it's actually once again very inefficient because a lot of that money that goes back into the Pentagon, who knows where it's going? We don't know where it's going. They tell you it's going to defense, but as a matter of fact, it's going to these massive corporations that aren't even actually paying their engineers, really. But it's going to CEOs. It's going to faceless, lifeless, parasitic capital owners that don't care about America. They're multinational. They don't actually have any sort of allegiance to America, and they clearly don't care about their fellow citizens either. They're basically just looting the taxpayer money and putting it directly into their pockets. You know, MLK said this, but this is a nation where we have rugged individualism for the poor, for the everyman, for the working class individual, but we have a system of socialism for the very wealthy. Don't you think it'd be better if we flipped it on its own, where the very wealthy should engage in rugged individualism and the working poor, the everyday person, should be getting more of their tax fund, getting more in return for the taxes that they pay?
It should be equal. Why would the wealthy pay for the poor all the time?
Because they have way more money.
Well, no, that's not even what I'm saying. I'm not even saying the wealthy should be paying for the poor. I'm saying that the poor prop up the wealthy. In our current system right now, wealthy people that have a much better starting point, right, usually, more often than not, end up becoming unimaginably wealthy. They end up becoming unimaginably wealthy in the current system that we have, right? And they would not be that wealthy without labor, without people working jobs, whether, they're accountants like yourself, Bob, or, plumbers or janitors or sanitation workers. They would not be able to generate this revenue, right? They would not be able to have any output whatsoever because, yeah, sure, maybe you had a lot of money and you were able to purchase a factory, right? But that factory remains dull if there is no labor inside of that factory. Labor is what creates value. Right? You agree with me on that? Because without workers, these factories would not, there would be nothing.
I know where you're going.
I don't.
What, you don't agree with that? You think factories would have the same output without workers working in them?
If you don't have billionaires to invest capital, it doesn't make a goddamn bit of difference how many workers you have.
You think Amazon would be Amazon without people working in the factories, in the distribution centers?
There wouldn't be Amazon without capital government.
No.
Okay.
I mean, Amazon is already getting tremendous tax breaks from the government.
You wouldn't have an Amazon.
Yeah, so here's the thing. A lot of these big businesses, they actually do get a lot of tax revenue. They get a lot of tax revenue. They get a lot of subsidies. They do get a lot of help from your taxes. But you find that to be appropriate, and that's all right. I mean, but my argument always is we should be paying more consideration and more attention to the people that are working inside of those facilities so they too can go and buy a home and take care of their children and have a healthier society overall. And the reality of the matter is, and you, Bob, you worked in some setting, right? You were an accountant. Like, if your boss didn't exist, you would still go to work and you would still do the same exact work no matter what. It's not because your boss that exists that your company was able to make money, right?
No, I went from being an accountant to a natural gas trader.
Okay.
I worked my way into a better situation so I could make more money.
He's worked for several very, very rich men.
Billionaires
Under
you would condemn, and they provided hundreds of thousands of dollars and millions of dollars for jobs. In fact, in the state of Oklahoma, one of the guys I work for is the reason Oklahoma's better off than they were 5 or 10 years ago.
Boone Pickens Stadium.
So here's the thing, okay?
Okay.
You worked for them. They hired you because they saw value in what you do. Without you and without people like you working for them. But Bob, without
they
you,
made me a lot of money.
Okay.
no, they gave you money in the form of a wage.
I earned it.
Okay, they gave you a wage, right? You were a waged salaried employee, right?
No.
Oh, you got.
What?
I was on
Did you work
commission.
on commission? Oh, okay. You worked on. Okay, so you were doing
100%.
sales. Got it.
In addition to a salary.
Okay, that's great. No, sales is actually a sales is something that I
Not
did
sales.
before I.
It's not called sales.
Oh, dear
It's
God.
called trading.
Okay, so you were
I
a trader.
had positions on whether gas would go up or down, and I could not be wrong. I had to be right.
So you were providing them value. They didn't actually work in that setting. They just hired you. They had the upfront capital. They had the money to hire
put up
someone
the
like
capital.
yourself to make them even more
Now
money.
you need to backtrack. They put up the capital. Without them, there would have been no job at all.
No, I don't have to backtrack at all because the reality of
Yeah,
the
you
matter
do.
is if a job is a necessity, if a job is an absolute necessity, then we don't need to rely on someone to put the upfront capital because we're already pooling those funds right now. We pull those funds in the form of taxes. We could have public banks that could actually fund and invest into these initiatives as well by need. And it's actually kind of how it works in many other countries as well. Or it kind of works in the same way here as well in the United States of America. The distribution of those
Banks
resources,
weren't very
however,
damn good
stay
at
at the top.
Banks had to give up trading because they sucked at it.
Okay.
What? No, banks still, I think banks do a lot of that.
Your
I mean, I think it
banks-
should be
major
separate.
Banks
But
like Merrill Lynch, Morgan Stanley, all had to quit trading because they lost so damn much money.
who do you
And
think?
I know that for a fact
who do you
because I
think
was in the
worked,
business.
Bob? Who do you think worked harder, you or the guy who hired you? Who do you think worked harder to generate value? You or the guy who just simply had more money than you and was wise enough to hire someone as smart as yourself?
The second guy I worked for probably worked more hours than I did.
You
And
must
harder.
have had a bad. You must have had a
And
bad
he
boss
put
at
all
some
his
point,
money.
though, right?
And he put his money up. He was willing to take a risk.
Okay, but
Being so argumentative.
at the
Well,
end
I
of the
mean-
day,
He had no what he's talking about.
but at the end of the day, if it wasn't for you and the work that you put in, he wouldn't have made as much money, right? As opposed to not hiring you, right? You made him
I
money.
don't know.
Correct.
Because he would mimic my trade sometimes and make a lot more than I did.
Okay.
Yeah, because he had more money than you.
He had the same money.
He's got his hat back
Same
on. Be
cap.
nice.
Put the hat back on, Bob.
Yeah.
I'll put the hat back on.
Hey,
I'm
It's
defending-
easier to agree.
I'm defending your rights as a worker in your own experience, and you're still trying to defend your boss to me for some weird reason. I don't understand.
I'm not a worker. I never felt like I wasn't an employee for
Okay.
starters.
Okay.
I remember there was an episode we did
no
where
salary involved.
I remember I asked
There
you
was
once.
no salary involved. I got a 1099 at the end of the year, not a W-2.
Okay, that's fine. I'm a 1099 worker as well. That still means that you're getting a wage from. You're still getting a wage to a certain
Where you
degree
work?
from. I work for myself. I technically get a 1099 from Amazon though because of the platform that I'm on. It's owned by Jeff Bezos.
So you don't have a W-2 either.
No, I no longer have a W-2. I was a W-2 worker
You're
when I
not
was
an
doing
employee.
sales back in the day. But I'm an independent contractor, technically, just like you were for the company that you're working for. But it doesn't matter. What I'm trying to say is you are still, when you are making money for someone else, you are still working. Like as a contractor, you are still doing contracted work.
So
Yes.
There was
It's
an
not a bad thing. This is just what it is. I
don't
wasn't
see
being
your point.
argumentative.
There was
I don't see
an
your
episode that we did a long time ago where I asked you if you thought you had more in common with the average kind of working person or billionaires, and you said billionaires. You thought you have more in common with a billionaire than the average person. But that's simply
With
not
their
true.
mindset.
Huh?
with the mindset, I have more in common with the people I work for, workers.
Okay. That's what I'm saying. And I don't know if this is like common to all MAGA, but that attitude that like you and Elon Musk could be buddies and hang out in the same room, but you can't with the guy who's like 2 levels below you at your corporation. It's just wrong. And I don't know if that's like purposefully done
It's called
in right-wing media or
temporarily embarrassed millionaire. Like that's what it is.
Depends on who you are. The billionaires I worked for, I did hang out with.
No one should be a billionaire. Literally no one.
I agree. I think it's an indication that the system is failing when there's that level of wealth disparity, when there's that much level of wealth accumulation at the top. It is just as a failure of the system as is every single homeless person that has to sleep outside. Almost 700,000 of them have to sleep outside in the wealthiest nation on the planet. It means that this system is just not working, right? We have to fix it. That's what I want to do.
I agree 100%. But mom and dad, you're for the billionaires. You like that they exist. You like them.
They have to exist.
I don't want the homeless people on the street, but why can't our government help them? Why can't our government do help with them?
Because they don't give
Mental
a shit.
help, drug help, whatever kind of help they want.
Who's they?
Our government.
Our government,
Yeah.
it's busted. They don't care. They don't care if we have health care. They don't certainly care if you're homeless.
Yeah, they only care
don't
about billionaires. They only care about billionaires and making sure the billionaires are turning profit year over year.
Trump is a billionaire. The fucking president is a billionaire.
And they contract from other billionaires. Like, you can't see the trend. I just don't understand. And you're okay with it. Like, there should be 0 billionaires.
They just plug fucking grok into the DOD computers. Like
Department of War.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, the Department of War.
Yeah,
I got you,
right,
Bob.
right.
He's
I'm living back in Obama and Biden days when they called the Department of Defense. I'm just saying, like, that's another billionaire who we already saw basically was trying to run the country while Trump was sitting at the fucking desk. Then he got kicked out because Tesla stock was tanking, and he's like, shit, I got to go back and make sure the stock prices go up. Now he's on the verge of becoming the world's first trillionaire, and he's getting a government contract to put his fucking AI in the Department of, my apologies, War in all their computers.
don't dead name the Department
to
of
get
War.
all of our military data running through Grok. It's not enough that he has Starlink satellites and he's controlling all that shit and fucking siphoning data whenever he wants. Now he's going to have his AI in our Department of War. You don't see any problems with this.
So when you say, like, why is the government not doing anything about it? Because they want to get that fucking bag, okay? They want money. That's all. That's all it's about. It's all it's ever been about. Donald Trump is just a money-hungry sack of shit.
Sorry you feel that way.
Are you guys about to go to sleep? I think this is, they might have, their engine's out of gas here.
A little bit.